In this week's video, I want to talk about a question that came to our Learning Commons via the Submit a Question, and some recommendations for how to explore this, as well as a small task to do this week. So we had a student submit a question looking for help with medical legal. That is a course that we do not have a CSS tutor for. If you fielded this question, definitely chat me, ask, would a tutor be possible? Because sometimes I can find a tutor, even if we don't have them already on staff. In this case, I emailed the faculty member and we were unsuccessful in finding a student who'd recently taken the course. So, next up was, what does tutor.com have to offer? And Danny and I reviewed tutor.com. There is a healthcare and administration tutor. Great, cool. We started a session with them by clicking the Connect Now button, so that first option in tutor.com, and submitted a version of what the student had sent to us. And it wasn't helpful. The tutor was not really sure how to answer our question, I would say, and thought we should maybe talk to another tutor. So quickly realized that wasn't going to be a helpful option. And so I emailed the student and said, would you like to come on in and talk about some skills, some general academic skills? So the student and I met today, and we reviewed all of the course content. I have not taken medical legal. I know very little about this, but there were some skills and strategies that I was able to share. And I want to share those with you today, but I also want to start a draft of kind of a place where we can start to expand our guide that we have, but also like real life, what are some of these tools that we've given in these scenarios? So I'll share a Google Doc with you and ask you to compile your ideas to the list. But what I ended up using as a guide for the student was the learning objectives in the textbook, which the faculty's PowerPoint, which she pulled up, seemed to definitely pull from, and ask some questions about, where are you spending your time? In your first exam, did you find that you studied the right concepts, but maybe the answers, but maybe not enough, that the answers could come out to you? Like, do you think you were off on some other content? Were you on the right chapters? Were you on the right content? And then, like, how many times did you work with the material? And so through the conversation, learned a little bit more about her approach. And one thing that I frequently see of students in these upper level courses is that they're employing the same strategies that worked really well at the 1000, 2000 level courses. So things like Quizlet and definitions and memorizing and copying notes from class, like all of those things are sufficient for doing really well in an undergrad 1000, 2000 level course. When we get to a junior level course, something pretty specific like medical legal, we better be able to explain these concepts, explain how they differentiate from other concepts. So Quizlet's not going to help you because Quizlet's going to have just one word and then the other side's the definition. You need to know how does consent differ from implied consent, express consent? Like, how do these things differ, not just memorizing? Now, for some students, memorizing, you can kind of pull that out and you feel good verbatim. Most of the time, we need to talk about the definitions beyond just verbatim, like describe it, provide an example. And so I encouraged her to do that. And then we also talked about a strategy of pulling objectives from the textbook that aligned with the PowerPoint, in which case she was going to redo her notes. So she put an objective at the top of the paper and then wrote everything about that objective from the notes in class, from the textbook, from some sample problems the professor had. And then as they're studying, kind of covering it up, the bottom part, and saying everything that they know about that objective. And then following that back up a second time closer to the exam. So then there's like three exposure to the content. One is finding it, two, writing it down on that sheet of paper, right? And then quizzing yourself on it. And we want to space those times out as much as possible. Unfortunately, these exams are like every 2 weeks, so there isn't a lot of time. So I recommended kind of making these objective guides over the weekend, and then to spend some time really memorizing, learning, providing examples during the week. But that's an example of some strategies I gave somebody for content that I have know nothing about. Um, so to recap the questions, how are you spending your time? What are the strategies? And then ultimately a dive into, do those strategies serve you in this course or not? And how can we modify them? And then come back and check, and let's chat more about this. Of course, faculty office hours are going to be helpful for some suggestions as well as clarification on concepts. But the bigger idea being there's a lot of content, quick, fast-paced course, and I need to be able to demonstrate it that I know this in a actually multiple choice exam. So thinking about that, what other strategies would you have recommended the student try? Thank you for watching this week and engaging in this experiment of really helping people in content that you're not aware of. And the experiment being that we can provide a service here at CSS through our Saints Learning Commons to help students like this student. So questions, concerns, you know where I'm at, chat me. And Community Day, whoever's able to work, let us know. We have projects and things. We're going to be doing a Stall Street Journal here pretty quick, and more study strategy programming coming up. So have a great week. We'll be in touch. Thank you. Bye.